Jim, the runaway enslaved man in Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, stands as one of the most complex and compassionate figures in American literature. Far more than a supporting character, Jim serves as the moral center of the novel. Through his humanity, loyalty, and quiet strength, he challenges the racist assumptions of both his fictional world and Twain's contemporary society. Jim's journey toward freedom parallels Huck Finn's moral awakening, and together their voyage down the Mississippi River becomes both a physical adventure and a moral odyssey. Role in the narrative. When the novel begins, he is introduced as Miss Watson's enslaved man, superstitious, humble, and seemingly simple-minded. Yet as the story progresses, Twain peels back these surface traits to reveal a man of profound moral intelligence and emotional depth. After overhearing that Miss Watson plans to sell him to a trader from New Orleans, Jim escapes, setting in motion the journey that becomes the backbone of the novel. Jim's partnership with Huck develops on Jackson's Island, where the two fugitives, one fleeing slavery, the other civilization, form an unlikely bond. Their journey down the Mississippi River on a raft is the novel's heart. Jim's character gradually evolves from being a mere companion to Huck's moral guide. His empathy, patience, and unwavering decency challenge Huck's, and by extension, the reader's assumptions about race and humanity. Throughout their adventures, Jim often acts as the voice of conscience. He protects Huck, tends to him when he is ill, and consistently demonstrates selflessness. When Huck plays a cruel prank on him by pretending to be dead, Jim's emotional reaction, "And all you was thinkin' 'bout was how you could make a fool you old Jim would a lie," forces Huck to recognize the pain he has caused and to apologize sincerely. This moment marks Huck's first step toward viewing Jim not as property, but as a person deserving of respect and friendship. Jim's role in the narrative is thus both practical and symbolic. He is Huck's companion in survival and the mirror that reflects Huck's moral growth. While society labels Jim as inferior, Twain uses his character to expose the moral blindness of a culture that would enslave such a man while calling itself civilized. Symbolic significance. Jim represents, first and foremost, the human face of slavery. Twain strips away the abstractions of political debate by presenting Jim not as a statistic or symbol of the institution, but as a loving father, a friend, and a deeply moral individual. His dream of purchasing his family's freedom gives a personal, emotional dimension to the abstract ideal of liberty. Jim also embodies natural goodness and moral clarity in contrast to the corruption of civilized society. He lives by an ethical code rooted in empathy and decency rather than law or religion. For instance, while white characters like the Duke and King exploit others through deceit, Jim consistently tells the truth and sacrifices for those he loves. When the group encounters moral chaos on shore, the feuding Grangerfords and Shepherdsons, the swindling conmen, or the hypocritical townspeople, Jim remains the moral constant. He becomes a living rebuke to the greed, cruelty, and hypocrisy that Twain saw as defining traits of American society. The Mississippi River, often viewed as a symbol of freedom, gains additional meaning through Jim's journey. For Jim, the river represents a path toward liberation and self-determination, yet it is also fraught with danger. Each time the raft approaches the shore, Jim faces the risk of being recaptured or betrayed. His precarious position highlights the fragility of freedom in a racist world. The river, in this sense, serves as both a symbol of possibility and a poignant reminder of the inescapable reach of social injustice. Finally, Jim symbolizes paternal love and human dignity. He often assumes the role of a surrogate father to Huck. In contrast to Pap Finn's violent neglect, Jim provides care, wisdom, and emotional security. When Jim shields Huck from seeing the corpse of his dead father, he demonstrates a tenderness that transcends race and bloodlines. His parental affection and moral steadiness elevate him to a symbolic position as a father figure, not only to Huck but also, metaphorically, to a morally lost America. Broader implications. Through Jim, Twain launches a powerful critique of the moral hypocrisy of the antebellum South, and by extension, the America of his own time. In a society that preached Christian virtue while upholding slavery, Jim's innate goodness serves as an indictment of religious and moral hypocrisy. While civilized characters like Miss Watson pray and quote scripture, they see no contradiction in owning another human being. By contrast, Jim, the supposed ignorant slave, consistently acts according to the highest principles of Christian morality, compassion, forgiveness, and love. Jim's relationship with Huck also carries profound social implications. Their friendship crosses racial boundaries, forcing Huck and the reader to confront the artificiality of those divisions. The moment when Huck resolves to help Jim, even if it means going to hell, symbolizes a radical moral breakthrough. He chooses human empathy over the laws of a corrupt society. In this sense, Jim's presence catalyzes Huck's moral evolution and challenges readers to examine their own assumptions about race and justice. From a broader cultural perspective, Jim represents the silenced voices of enslaved and oppressed people. Twain's decision to give Jim dignity and depth was revolutionary for its time, though not without controversy. Some modern readers have criticized Twain for perpetuating racial stereotypes, or for allowing white characters to dominate the moral narrative. Yet even with these limitations, Jim's portrayal remains groundbreaking in its portrayal of a black man as morally superior to the world around him. Jim also anticipates later African American literary figures, such as Frederick Douglass and Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, who challenged dehumanization through the assertion of individual humanity. His resilience and moral strength resonate as a precursor to the long struggle for civil rights and social equality in America. Conclusion. Jim's character in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn transcends the limitations imposed on him by both his society and the conventions of 19th-century fiction. As a fully developed human being with hopes, fears, and a profound moral sense, Jim stands as the novel's accurate moral compass. Through his quiet dignity, compassion, and courage, Twain exposes the hypocrisy of a society that claims to be Christian and free while perpetuating slavery and racism.